What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we are back with another episode of Lions Latest, going through the latest Detroit Lions news. And today we're going to be taking a look at the latest injury updates for the Detroit Lions, because there are some massive injury updates and some fantastic news that we got to touch on, as well as take a look at some of the all-22 offensive plays from this last game against the Chicago Bears. How did Ben Johnson make this work without having an outside receiver? Let's get it started.
Fired up. It's made a great decision.
Great teammates, coaches, and other people who want to be Super Bowl champions. And we are. We're going to do it this year.
And we're going places, because we want to go places.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we are back, and I'm super excited for this video. I got my Jerry Jacobs shirt in today, which I'm fired up about. I got some cool ideas for merchandise that will hopefully be out soon. And we got this great news on the injury front. So this is just a good day today. Hopefully y'all are having a good day today. And if not, hopefully this makes that day better. So let's just dive right into it. Waste no time. I want to start with some of these major injury updates that we've gotten. Of course, when we get later into the week, we'll discuss the Giants as well, because we're playing them this week. We'll take a look at their injury reports, but these are some big names that we got to touch on. I know you guys have been waiting for this just like I have. So the first one is a receiver that hasn't been playing with the Detroit Lions since week number 3. He was signed this offseason. That is DJ Chark, who has now returned to practice. He will practice today. Dan Campbell said that he would go run around, go through individual drills, but he is beginning his 21-day period to return to the team. If you don't know how that works, basically, if you have a guy on IR, they can return to the team, and then that opens up a 21-day window. And once they open up that 21-day window, you either take him off of IR within those 21 days, and cool, he's back on the active roster, he's back with the team, or he's out for the season. You got that 21 days, one stat period starts for that player that you decide to kind of take off of IR. But again, he's still not counting towards the roster right now because he is on IR. So that's why you have a 21-day period. And that's DJ Chark. I am so excited for this news, man. We have been missing an outside receiver for the last few weeks, and it is difficult. And I know Ben Johnson has to be super excited for this news as well, because he's like, oh my goodness, thank goodness. We need a guy like this. Plus, with DJ Chark, I think it's probably unlikely that he gets re-signed just because of the amount of time that he has missed. But if he does want a shot at that, he still has time to prove himself and prove what he can do, whether that's for us or somewhere else. And I've liked what I've gotten from the guy so far this season. I think he could take it another step up, but I've liked what I've gotten. But with that, just getting him back on the field, just the impact of having the guy on the field will be huge for the Lions. So hopefully he plays this week. I can't say whether or not he will, but that 21-day period did begin to come off of IR, and I'm pumped about that. Now here's a name that you haven't heard in a while because it's just been extremely quiet. That's Romeo Okwara. We didn't really get an update here from Dan Campbell unless I missed it. But Romeo Okwara's 21-day period to return to the team has also been opened up and begun today. Now, Romeo Okwara's missed a lot of time. He's been out for 13 straight months. We haven't gotten the videos like we did from Jeff Okudah on his progress or where he's at. But we do know that Romeo Okwara is returning to practice. Again, I don't know to what extent, but that 21-day period has begun today. So I'm excited about that as well, because we have not seen Romeo Okwara play with Aiden Hutchinson, and I do feel like because of the financial state of Romeo, we know we paid him the year that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell came to this organization. He hasn't really played much since they've been here, but when you take a look at how he's financially set up, I know everybody talks about getting another top-end DN and all of that stuff, but I do feel a legit scenario where he is again back next season just because of how the financials look with Romeo. And for that, we need this guy to get back on the field. He's had a lot of time out. Hopefully he comes back and he looks good. Again, I don't know when he's going to play, but at least within these 3 weeks, hopefully we can expect that we'll get him back onto the field at some point. We did get a little bit of an update on Jameson Williams, the Lions' first-round pick this season. I would say it's good news. I mean, to a point there, I heard people saying he's out for the season. That never really came back official, so I didn't know where we were at with Jameson Williams. And we've kind of just been following along. I think Thanksgiving has just been thrown out there, and we're kind of all riding with that. But now as we get closer to Thanksgiving, it's like, okay, is he actually going to play Thanksgiving or no?
You know, probably after Thanksgiving sometime would be the best way to, that I think that's tentatively what we're looking at. I don't know if that would be the Jacksonville week or the week after. It could be next week. It's just we're not doing a ton, but he's close. It's certainly won't be this week, and I don't see I don't see there again him playing for Thanksgiving, but we'll see where it goes. He's progressing. There's no setback.
And maybe the week after Thanksgiving, he's back on the field. Now, in the meantime, getting DJ Chark back would be very helpful for us because we still don't have Josh Reynolds, and he did not practice today. We missed him for the last few weeks as well. So, hopefully, we get Chark back. But when we do get DJ and we do get JMO, hopefully we see him on the field at the same time this season. And it seems like we may. Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm pumped. Quick couple little updates from today's injury report with guys that have been playing recently that, are not returning off of IR. Just a couple quick ones. Josh Paschal had no participation today. We do know that Charles Harris has returned. He's been kind of a rotational player for us, but if he can't go, I would assume Charles would just get the nod and potentially start for us. Also, Julian did pretty well last week, especially as a pass rusher. He had extremely high pass rush win rate. He didn't play a ton, but he was pretty good pass rushing last week as well. They've had them both on the field at the same time. I won't go into that right now. Deshaun Elliott, limited participation. I think this one's massive. He's in concussion protocol, and the reason I think this is so important is because when he went down last week, it shifted kind of the role that they had Kirby Joseph in. We'll take a look at that with the defense, but basically without having Elliott, you saw Kirby take a lot more of the slot responsibilities, which if you look at Deshaun Elliott and how we've utilized him recently, that's kind of been him. He's the guy that rolls down to the box. He's the guy that plays in the slot. Well, once we lost Deshaun Elliott, that kind of became Kirby Joseph, and we got a lot of box snaps from CJ Moore, but he didn't really take on that slot role. We didn't put him in those man assignments, and because of that, we did see Kirby get beat a few times, and it was not his best week, even though he has played fantastic up to this point as your deep safety with Elliott being able to really play off of him perfectly. But what we're getting now is that limited participation. He may be able to play this week, and that would be massive, I believe. Also, Chase Lucas, full participation, Iffy, full participation, and DeAndre Swift continues to be full participation. So I think we'll continue potentially to see his reps take a step up. So I would actually say a lot of good injury news today. We don't know about anything officially, but the guy I'm of course circling there is Deshaun Elliott and also DJ Chark, because he might be able to play this week. I mean, he's going through individual drills. It's not impossible. Oh, also Frank Ragnow, got to touch on that. They said he had a boot. It was kind of a protectionary thing that he had on, but they said with Frank Ragnow, he will not practice today, but he is feeling better. So hopefully Frank Ragnow is able to play this weekend as well, because as we know, our backup center is actually playing at guard. So with that, let's dive into some of this All-22 look from the Lions offensively against the Chicago Bears. Let's take a look at some of the offense here for the Lions. There is that little liquid IV thing in the corner. I know it looks kind of strange, but it's down there, so I thought I'd point that out. Code DoseOfDion for 20% off. Link in the top of the description. It's good stuff. But with that, I want to take a look at some of the offensive plays. We'll bounce around, show some good, show some bad, just some of the key plays that stuck out, some things creatively that we did with some of the players that we were missing to try to find advantages offensively. I think this first play is a great example. Now, I do want to point out, defensively, I think it's going to be pretty fun because the Lions did some cool things. Obviously, when you're facing a guy like that, there's a lot that goes into it. How the Lions tried to force Justin Field to throw a certain direction, how they played against some of their, rollouts. I think there's a lot of fun things to take a look at defensively, but also offensively. And this is a perfect play to show that. Now, I don't know how much Chicago actually blitzed in this game individually. I couldn't find that number. I can say this, I believe their season average bumped up after this game. I think it was like 14% coming in according to Pro Football Reference, and then after this week it was 14.6. So it's not by a ton, but they definitely blitzed us. There was no question they blitzed us. Whether it was out of zone looks, they blitzed us on some of our boot action. They tried to hurry up Jared Goff. That was clear. And sometimes it gave us problems. Other times we took advantage of it. But this first play, one thing I want to point out here, the Lions did a lot of empty sets offensively, which I think was one of their ways they try to create matchups defensively. As you see here, you have DeAndre Swift split out wide. You also have, it looks like a bunch on the left side, maybe more of a slot here from St. Brown. So you got 5 guys wide on the play, and for Chicago, they try to create matchups that way. We know they do their, pre-snap. Is it man? Is it zone? What can we find out by motion? They've done all of those things, but I think this was part of it, all the rub routes, everything like that. But this first play that I do want to show off is very creative. I don't think we've seen that so far this season. And what they're going to have St. Brown do, he's basically going to catch a touch pass from Jared Goff. They're going to pull Jonah Jackson, and we always see on third down, right? We see how the Lions on third down, they'll kind of go by numbers, and they're like, okay, we got the numbers. Let's audible to this run play. We'll pull the offensive line. We pick up our blocks, and there we go. This, to me, feels like, I don't know if there was an audible before this, but we know the Lions make a lot of checks at the line of scrimmage, but this play to me feels something similar like that, just by doing it a little bit differently. Instead of having your running back in the backfield and saying, hey, look, we're going to pull an offensive line, we're going to audible to this, and then just hand it off. Instead, they use St. Brown, who here is in a tight slot, and they're going to have him run over, get a pulling offensive lineman, and pick up the numbers with 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in St. Brown with the ball versus 1, 2, 3 in a deep safety. Meanwhile, these 2 guys are matched up against our 2 receivers on the right side. So I just thought that was a real creative way to just make it look a little bit different, but also get St. Brown enough space where you can go pick up, I think it was about 6 yards on this play for a first down. So you'll see it here. I like this. This is really cool. And also the kind of the rollout look, which can force guys to move. It doesn't really on this play because I believe that Jaquan Brisker is actually masked up if this was man coverage, matched up with St. Brown, and they did a lot of that. Brisker was all over the place. He came into the box. He played man on us. So here it looks like he's playing some off-man coverage. You know, you always have to get different levels, and we'll see that. But either way, I like this because they end up creating numbers based on this little interesting way to do it instead of just a normal handoff. And then shout out to St. Brown here making the move and fighting for this first down. But I thought that was just a little creative way that Ben Johnson did something similarly to what they've done concept-wise, but just to show it, sprinkle it in a little bit different so the defense hasn't seen that before. I have to jump back to the last play because for some reason it decided to glitch out. So we may come back to that one. But on this play, I want to show you it's pretty much a very similar design to what we saw last week when Jared Goff threw the interception. So very similar concept, actually maybe like the exact same concept. But what the Lions are going to do here is what I like is just the timing. We always showcase the timing because I love it. Chicago did a lot of post-snap safety movement, so they didn't really show you pre-snap what they were going to do. In this case, you're going to have number 4, Jackson. He's going to drop out, and they're actually going to drop it to a cover 2 look defensively here. I believe this is on first down. They pick up 4 yards on this play. Remember, we threw the interception where you have St. Brown cross the middle of the field, then he had kind of this deep corner route, and then you have the flat. We threw an interception on that from this outside corner. But on this play, it's all about the timing for me. Watch James Mitchell, who is your inline tight end. He's going to hesitate and wait. The reason he waits is you get this cornerback to continue to get depth. If, of course, he breaks out into the flat immediately, it throws off timing 1 because it's progressions that Jared Goff is going to be looking through. So if he just went here and stood in the flat, someone's going to go end up covering that up. What you're going to see here, moves away from the pressure, and then the cornerback is now out of the play. So in this cover 2 drop, now you're 5th underneath defender is basically up here, and he is taking away this deep crossing route. So then the right read is to come back to this flat. Now, this kind of play works best against man or cover 3 because then that outside corner is out of the play, which then at that point should open up the deep direct crossing route. But in this play, because it's cover 2, the only open read is the flat. Pick up 4 yards, you'll take that. It's like a solid run play. Show a lot of run plays, I feel like, but I do want to show one here. Lions go with a little duo block, and I want to showcase Penei Sewell here. You can see where the hole is created. He decides to not jump through the hole that the Lions create with their offensive line. Here's a duo block on the defensive tackle. Evan Brown one-on-one. He decides to not attack through here. Instead, he decides to bounce it out, maybe because Evan Brown is kind of losing his guy towards the inside. So he decides to, plant and break back outside. But look at Penei Sewell as well on the backside, who basically blocks 2 players on this play, seals it up, opens up a lane for Jamal Williams to cut back and make this run. You can see initially he has a defensive end who's going to be cutting inside. That doesn't really affect the play, kind of throws him off, and then he's able to flip, open back up, and pick up this linebacker who's coming downhill to allow Jamal Williams that crease to get upfield and pick up 13 yards on this play, and then he just makes some things happen afterward. We talked about this last week, all the fast motion that the Lions utilized to try to create different matchups. Here's another thing the Lions did this week. St. Brown lined up in the backfield. So here they have him lined up as a running back, split back here with DeAndre Swift, and they're going to utilize a fast motion, and he's going to snap it pretty early in the fast motion, and they're going to throw a swing route, basically a swing screen. They're going to block up here, and that's how they're going to get St. Brown the ball. So we talked about this. They did the same thing with Swift. They try to creatively find some ways to get him the football. You can see now it's going to switch off, who's matched up on here. So if Brisker had St. Brown and they're in man coverage, not a linebacker has to take that. He shifts out. There's the snap. Safety's going to drop back. Now you end up getting the linebacker on St. Brown, and you can see the space that's created here. You set up a swing with the fast motion. He picks up 13 yards on first down. All right, so that's just using the fast motion our own way to try to get our guys open, St. Brown's to Swifts, and also putting St. Brown in the backfield was something that we brought back this week, especially early in the game. We saw them utilize this. Against our zone run, which I thought the Lions would be probably more efficient than they were in this game. They didn't do terribly running the football, but it was kind of hit and miss. Here was a good job by the Bears. I think the Lions actually audible to this play, but what they're going to do is they're going to actually slant their defensive lineman, which can be an issue because you can get that penetration. So watch them slant number 99 here in the inside, boom, or not 99, but but you can see how they slant him against their offensive lineman to get upfield, and there you go. There's a negative 2-yard run. It kind of hurt this possession. So now we're in a third and long situation. You don't have a lot of room. You also don't really have your one-on-one guy, but I actually like this read for the Lions. I feel like this one had potential. So again, with their safeties, what they were doing is they were matching them up downhill, giving us a lot of different looks with their safeties because you don't really know who's matched up on who. Now, the linebacker on this play could be matched up on the running back, Justin Jackson. It could be the defensive end. It could be the safety. What it turns out is the safety, Brisker is actually matched up here on Justin Jackson on the backfield. You see him start to roll post-snap, and then this linebacker's not even going to rush. He's going to drop and basically spy so they can run some games there with their defensive linemen. So he spies. They run some games with their defensive lineman as he drops out, as initially, they kind of have to account for him. And now you have running back on safety. To me, this is the right read. I think it is based on everything else that you had going for you. It's just here you need that catch and run. You need the catch and run here because you have a safety coming downhill and you have an out-breaking route. If you can catch that and turn the corner, you have an opportunity to not only pick up the first down but also the touchdown. Everywhere else, you're kind of locked up. I mean, there's not a lot of separation really anywhere else that's created. I think you have a whip route here, but that one probably wasn't going to get very open. And again, everything the Lions do is timing. So you're going to see a lot of, it's almost like what the Rams do with Jared Goff. You're going to see a lot of timing where you'll get a 3-step, okay, this way, and then it times up to sync up with the backside route where if that one's not there, he can come back and hit this one. So you get a lot of those kind of reads from the Lions offensively, and of course what they can gather pre-snap to set up where do we want to look with the football initially. But in this case, you have the safety drop down on the running back. This is the right place to look with the football. You just need that catch and run. He ends up going down with the ball in that play, and you fall short of the first down. But that was the right place to look. We know this was kind of an issue. We had multiple blown blocks from different spots, whether it was Decker, whether it was Evan Brown. On this case, you could probably say it's Brock Wright. The Lions are going to try to sweep. They're going to try to get outside the defensive lineman here. So they run a sweep. They're going to pull Frank Ragnow as well as Penei Sewell on this play. You can see, however, Brock Wright, who's got to really seal and pin down this edge so that they can get outside. This shouldn't be a guy that you're worried about, number 99 here, who is kind of causing havoc in this game. Shouldn't be someone you're really worried about, but you can see he doesn't do a great job of pinning that down. It's also good recognition. He gets upfield so fast, it actually takes Frank Ragnow out of the pole, and now you have DeAndre Swift, who's basically kind of strung out even wider. You're not getting blocks upfield, and it basically shuts down a run play like this. A sweep can be risk-reward. You can get a lot of penetration, but you can also have a big play created. And in this case, he gets upfield quickly, picks up Frank Ragnow, takes him out of the play, and all of a sudden you have a negative 4-yard run. And we had a few too many of those offensively, which put us in some bad spots. They know that they're missing certain guys, so who are your playmakers? Well, Swift, St. Brown. So they're trying to create big plays in different ways offensively, rather than just saying, all right, play action, we're going to try to get this guy open, because honestly, the Lions couldn't consistently create separation. The good thing is we needed to, but you didn't have that. You didn't have that threat where he took safety help. You just didn't have that. So Lions try to create big plays in different ways, and of course, that always has risk reward. Talk about play design here, man. Last week we showed a sweet one where we kind of had the tight end sit down, then he had the dig route behind it, and Goff's eyes were there, and it went right by the linebacker, and it was open. This one was sweet as well. All right, what the Lions are going to do is they're going to run basically a quick little curl here with their tight end underneath, who's going to take this linebacker of the play, and then they're going to run their dagger over top. There's your deep route from St. Brown, and you're going to have this deep dig on the outside by Khalif Raymond. Now, this is a 3rd down and long. Usually, you're not thinking you're going to pick these up. Also, they did a lot of this where they would line guys tight to the line to kind of chip if they decide to rush off the edge. On this backside, you're going to have Tom Kennedy run. I believe it's a deep curl route on this play, and we've seen them do that against off-man where you kind of run the deep curl and then they can sit down on the marker. But the Lions are not getting that look defensively. Actually, they're going to get a cover 6. So this could be one of those things where you say, okay, pre-snap, if we get this is where we can look. In this play, you get cover 6 defensively. We'll take a look at it here. That's what it looks like right here, kind of your cover 4 side on this play. That's what it looks like you're getting on this play. And of course, when you get that, as they pass off these two routes against that cover 4 side, that causes an issue on the dagger because, of course, the guy breaks underneath. He's got to try to switch it to this safety, but this safety's got to get depth for the deep route over top because if he doesn't, then there's a huge hole over the middle. So this just creates problems. And then, of course, the underneath curl route is going to hold this linebacker. So you kind of add another little wrinkle to it where you're basically taking this linebacker out of the play from getting depth and being in this passing lane. And then on this backside, Goff isn't even worried about this safety because of the zone drop that they're in. Not even worried about this backside safety. He probably could have, maybe got over there a little quicker, but of course that would have opened up potentially, whatever's on that side of the field. But in this case, they get the zone coverage look and they have a zone coverage beater. The Lions run a lot of that similar concept with just a lot of wrinkles we've seen so far this season to get guys open. You can see he starts middle and then he comes back to it. That's all timing. You see when he plants, he comes right back to it. Boom, there's the timing of the route and it's money. And that's what the Lions offense has been. Actually going to get another cover 6 kind of look defensively on this play. play. Here's another chunk the Lions pick up by the Bears assigned to blitz. So here's an example of them bringing pressure. You see where Jaquan Brisker is at. Again, you could see how this could be man coverage, but you see the safety drop out before the snap, which can give you a little bit of tell that maybe that's not what it is. Pre-snap, it looks like they could be manned up across the line. You got the tight end on Jaquan Brisker. You're seeing man coverage potentially. Maybe it's zone coverage on this play, but they're going to drop out, and you're going to see what's going to happen is Jaquan Brisker is actually going to blitz off the edge on this play. So you look back to the blitz, and in this case, they fit St. Brown for 14 yards. Now, later in the game, they ended up bringing a blitz. We tried to hit Khalif Raymond, but it was short. He couldn't get upfield fast enough. But in this case, we kind of took advantage of where they decided to bring the blitz off of. And you're going to see how this shifts. Here we go. Here's the cover 6 look defensively. Just going to occupy everybody on this play. Take a look at the bottom here. Again, the Lions have Justin Jackson lined out, so they got 4 guys, and they have the back, which is St. Brown, who is, of course, a playmaker, and that's how they try to get their weapons, putting him in different alignments. So on this play, you have James Mitchell, who's going to come out here and run a corner route, and then you also have your drag route underneath by Justin Jackson. All they're going to do is basically they're going to be taking the zone defenders out of the play, and in this case, they do drop in the zone, which you could have got that tell a little bit pre-snap. So what you have is the drag. Of course, the cornerback's not going to follow that because of their zone drop. He's going to continue to get depth, but it's going to come into the linebacker's area, so he's going to have to help out on that drag. And then here with the deep corner route, what it's going to do is it's going to take this outside corner, but also the safety's attention because that's his zone. And as he breaks up field, now you have a wide open zone open. You have a wide open hole in this zone for St. Brown because of where they blitzed off. Usually you'd have one more underneath defender in this defensively because they brought the blitz. But either way, the Lions just basically occupy up every single zone, every single hole in this play with that offensively. This play is kind of cool. Safety movement. The safety's going to shift over before the snap. Here he is, Jaquan Brisker here in this underneath coverage. But let's take a look. So of course you take a look at the progression side and Jared Goff's drop type, his first look here with the running back. First thing that I think you look at here, having the flat and then the curl route, the flat from the running back and then the curl route from the tight end, is you could potentially look at some mix up in coverage here as a safety rolls down. Does the safety take the running back, or does he match up on the tight end? Then is the running back matched up on the running back? It's unlikely, but either way, that's where the first read goes for Goff. See, the Lions receiver splits across the board are all aligned inside the divider, so you're going to see outside leverage by everyone on this play in this cover 1 defensive look. So what you're going to see here is the stack on the left side, which the Lions utilize later in this game to create off-man coverage, because that which is what you can create against a cover 1. So they do this stack, they switch, the cornerback switches it off well, but now he's playing outside leverage, not only funneling it into the deep safety, but also to the one underneath zone linebacker. And what St. Brown does here creates this space. What St. Brown does on this play speaks to, I think, his football intelligence and how he runs this route. Let's take a look here. So he's going to start here, boom, there's one, and then he comes back to this curl route. But notice St. Brown, he doesn't get over top of this linebacker. He actually breaks his route underneath of the linebacker. He doesn't go behind the linebacker, because if he goes behind, it allows this cornerback who's going to match up with St. Brown to stick in his hip. And again, you get all these stacks and trying to create, space off the line, create confusion. Again, they're dropping in his zone here, but instead of him working upfield and the linebacker gets depth, he breaks right and crosses the face of this linebacker, which a quarterback always likes. And then it causes kind of a rub between the cornerback on this play and also the linebacker as he breaks across in between. Now the cornerback who's trying to run with him across the field, able to come back to it and hit St. Brown across the middle for a big chunk. Let's take a look at it from the other angle, because that was a pretty well run route by St. Brown on that play. Let's take a look. I think the Lions formation setup is interesting. Having your running back offset right and then stacking your receivers to the left with only one tight end inline right and then the one receiver to the right forces that off-ball linebacker who's going to match up on the running back, not the two receivers that are stacked on the opposite side. Because of that, he rubs in front, creates this space, and then there's St. Brown to take off for the long run. So it's kind of like some levels that the Lions are creating there. At this point, we were doing a really good job. We were into kind of a flow offensively. Going to get another stack here defensively from or offensively from the Lions. You can see it's kind of showing some zone coverage pre-snap based on how they're aligned. So you get the play fake. Here we get the rush off the edge. He may have been in a zone drop, or this could have been designed. He could have been in zone and just say, oh, look, there's no one on your side. Go up. Let's rush the end. Jaquan Brisker will take the tight end on this side of the field. But on this play, obviously the tight end stays in, so Jaquan Brisker drops out to get depth in the zone coverage look defensively. What the Lions are going to do, again, is very simply their dagger look offensively, which, again, tendencies, I think, to attack a defense is what you notice. Once again, again, you get a stack here. Again, if this was man coverage, you can create off man coverage. But at the same time, from this to have a deep post route and a deep dig underneath with St. Brown is pretty awesome. So Khalif Raymond attacking this safety, and then St. Brown breaking towards the outside and then back inside is going to force that outside corner to continue to get outside. And then also Khalif Raymond, because of the timing of this, is going to pull the safety out of the play because it syncs up well. When the safety gets out of the play, then St. Brown breaks underneath. Pulls the safety, and then the cornerback who's on the outside. Look at Jared Goff's eyes off of the play fake. You can see where his eyes are going underneath here towards the flat to Jason Kabinda. What that's to do is going to take this linebacker out of the way of this break from St. Brown. You can see how he creates that lane for him to throw it. It also holds this outside corner, but he was going to carry it anyway. And having this underneath takes the attention of the outside corner, but his eyes pull this linebacker out of the play. They're trying to drop out, so they're not getting adequate depth. Now, you did have potentially the shot play here, but that's fine because it's on time. You throw the dig route, and instead of Jared Goff leading him into a collision, he throws him back a little bit, and he sits down and picks up a big first down there. But the timing was beautiful. Show this real quick again, because again, the Lions used a fast motion. I believe this was a 4th down conversion to try to create an open receiver, which is going to be Brock Wright, who's in line. He's going to show block, very similar to last week, and they're going to get him wide open. So there's a fast motion from Khalif. You can see it's going to switch roles. So now Jaquan Brisker, who had Khalif Raymond, because you're playing man coverage in these situations, is switching this off and passing this off, I believe, to this is Eddie Jackson, number 4 over here. So now responsibility shift. Okay, now who has the tight end? Right, that's the question now. Okay, who has the tight end? When he switches that, who has the tight end on display? You're going to show block. He's not actually going to run a route initially. So again, you talk about timing because Goff's going to start here and then come back to it. It's all timing what the Lions do offensively. Now, this ball could be thrown. If there's a switch and if there's a breakdown of coverage, he could throw this quick flat, but it's not there. Okay, come back to it. So he blocks. There's your chip, and then of course you have this drag. He's worried about everything that's going on this side. Goff's eyes are here. Here comes the running back out the backfield. You know, who does he matched up with? Who even knows? Because the fast motion. I mean, how can you communicate that by the time that they snap it? Who knows who Jaquan Brisker has? Well, someone's got to have the tight end. No linebacker has tight end. They all crash down for the run on the play fake, so now he leaks out. And also Tom Kennedy, I think a little bit, this backside, he's kind of setting a pick. He doesn't run into him, but he could cause a natural pick on Jaquan Brisker, just kind of being in the way as he jumps that direction. Maybe that's something you see in practice, like, hey, let's have Kennedy like run across the field here. Also, it does give Goff another option if he is going this direction, but if we do that, it could kind of set a natural pick on this guy who passed it off to go cover up and be in the way. Definitely had some mistakes early in the 3rd quarter, and this is an example. Again, another check at the line of scrimmage. They're going to go with an inside zone look here offensively, and unfortunately get a couple of blown blocks like immediately off the line. And in a 3rd and 1, everybody's racing upfield, and unfortunately the Lions blow a couple of blocks, and that's where you get the failed 1-yard run. So here, first off, Frank Ragnow, he basically just lunges here and misses. Sidestep here from number 96, jumping into his gap and just sidesteps Frank Ragnow completely, and then he falls to the ground. Also, Taylor Decker kind of whiffs a little bit here as well. So there's that immediate penetration, and then there's a loss of 1, and now you're forced to punt on the 3rd and 1. Isolate St. Brown. They're trying to find ways to isolate their playmakers. Here's the motion in from Brock Wright in line, and then they're going to have St. Brown on this backside off the boot play fake. This is kind of massive, so I need to show this. Just short in motion at the Lions run and what looks like man coverage across the board. Again, they're inside the divider, so they're going to be playing outside leverage. Meanwhile, at the bottom, you have more straight up inside leverage because of how wide he's playing. But this short in motion basically switches responsibility. So everybody bumps over 1, which originally wouldn't have been the case. But because of the motion in, now you get off coverage on St. Brown, who's stacked up. St. Brown's just kind of walk up like he's run blocking, like there's nothing happening. And then boom, break outside, all the timing. There's the boot. Really, that's the only option for Goff. I mean, there's other options, but that's kind of the only place that's designed to go. And you're just trying to isolate St. Brown one-on-one, and he does that first down because of this fumble. And when you do see it, I do think Khalif Raymond must have thought something was happening differently, because everybody plays this as if they believe that this is going to be a end around, except for Khalif Raymond. He doesn't put his arms out. Everybody plays this like an end around. There's the run fake. Swift isn't really, trying to do anything here. There's the pulling offensive lineman. Everybody's playing this like an end around, except for Khalif Raymond, who doesn't even seem to put his hands out. And then you have the fumble. We do get back on it, which was huge, but that was a massive loss, and it put us way behind the chains. It's a 3rd down and 20, and it led to a scramble. Now, here's one thing of not really having your outside receiver. First thing is there's no robber on this play. They're going 2-man across the board. No one's rolling down to help anywhere. They're just playing the sticks and they're manning up everywhere. Looks like the Lions here, they're going to run it out up, and then they're going to kind of run a deep crosser here with, I believe that's Khalif Raymond. And then you got Tom Kennedy who's going to run a deep dig. That's covered up because of the safety help over top on this play. Basically, he can kind of play underneath Tom Kennedy. He may have had a little bit of space, but unfortunately, because of the pressure, we didn't have time to get it off with this 4-man rush. We lost a guy here on Jonah Jackson. You can see the missed block. I think the Lions really were trying to open up St. Brown here because of the outside leverage from the slot and then the inside leverage from the outside. They're trying to create this rub with Khalif Raymond. Unfortunately, though, it just doesn't go that way. And because of the safety help over top, St. Brown doesn't open up. You look to Khalif Raymond, who is the guy that you're saying he's probably got to be the guy that breaks open. And as you can see, the outside corner being very physical, really gives him no separation. And then the deep dig route here is where you could look. You got to worry about the safety, but it doesn't really have a chance because of the pressure that comes with it. And Goff just takes off for 5 yards. But 3rd and 20 is not ideal, especially when we don't have an outside receiver. Because this one gives me the sense of one of those man zone reads that the Lions are making pre-snap, right? We see these quick passes and we're like, man, how does that guy open? How do you know that was going to be open so quick? A lot of pre-snap looks that I think you get makes this happen. So Jared Goff is going to get a zone cover 2 look. Basic cover 2 look from the defense. Not a lot of disguise going on here. Going to get a cover 2 look across the board. Again, what are the Lions going? They're going empty, right? So they're going empty defensively. You can kind of get a sense pre-snap that it's not going to be man coverage based on how they're aligned. These guys could match up, but you're kind of getting that sense. So on one side, it looks like the Lions have kind of, hey, if it's man, look left. If it's zone, look right. What I love about this is I don't know, I believe that's what the call is, but I don't know for sure. This could have been just St. Brown and Jared Goff being on a great page here, because usually what we see a lot from the Lions, they run a deep, go route here. So they'll run the go route, and then they'll run the out route. Well, if this is man coverage, right, usually St. Brown's going to continue to run the out route, because if he sits down and runs a curl route, there's no separation. If it's man coverage and he runs around running a curl route, he's not open. He's got to continue that route, so he's got to break it and do an out route. But this is zone coverage. So this could have easily been a man in zone, or this could have been they were on the same page. Regardless, it matches up with Jared Goff's drop. There you go. There's like the one-step drop. And instead of breaking this outside, he sits in the zone because, of course, in a cover 2, there is an underneath zone corner, so you're just running yourself into coverage. He sits down, breaks it off, and Goff puts it on him for an 8-yard pickup. Now, look at the flip side of the formation. Why am I saying what I'm saying? Let's take a look at what the route concepts are on the other side of the formation. What you're going to see, you get a stick nod here from the tight end, which we've seen if that's man coverage. You try to get the one-on-one with the tight end. If the safety continues to get outside because of this vertical route, now you have him over the middle, one-on-one with the tight end. And also you have a whip route underneath, which is a man beater usually. So that's what it looks like to me, is a man zone look. Made the read at the line, looked zone, and that's what it was. And there's your hold of St. Brown. Easy 8-yard completion, and that's pretty cool. That little stuff is cool to me. But I think the Lions were trying to create a lot of. They're trying to create guys open. We're going to see a great example of that on the big 3rd down pickup by Tom Kennedy. Oop, I got that thing off the screen. So this is the corner route that Jared Goff underthrows. The ball came out pretty disgusting, I'm going to be honest with you. This was a 3rd and long, but the Lions had an opportunity to pick it up. So they're going to rob down a safety you're going to see on this play. Here he is. Eddie Jackson kind of robbed down, helps out underneath, but they're going to get this open corner look. Now, with these route concepts kind of having like a post and then the corner, you could definitely create a situation where the safety has to pick one. So if you win off the line, there you go. And also on top of that, they're going to create this rub. So again, really tight splits from the Lions receivers and tight ends on this play. So we're going to have Shane Zylstra's inline is going to break outside and run a corner route, and then the receiver inside here, Khalif Raymond, who gets off the line quickly, gets in the way of the linebacker who's matched up man-to-man and creates separation as they kind of rub off there, and it create a lot of separation for Zylstra to run this deep corner route. You see that the linebacker is actually matched up with on this play. This is not a zone drop. This ends up being man. So there you go. There's the space. He's over top, and Goff underthrows this. You can understand that he would not want to throw him out of bounds, but he does underthrow this one. The ball came out very strange. You see his reaction to that one, but it was a good way to create an open route with a guy like Shane Zylstra, who normally you're not just saying, oh, he's going to go beat him, but you create him like this, boom, using Khalif Raymond and Khalif's speed by how fast he gets off the line, because if you look at the timing again of this route, Khalif is the guy that explodes off the line. He takes the safety's attention. So now not only are you getting the linebacker in a tough spot, you're also taking the safety here. Go, you get the one-on-one you want, and he just missed the pass. This one's kind of cool. You get to see a little scoot here. You know what I'm saying? Hey, y'all know, you know. They're going to bring the blitz off the edge. You can see the defense kind of change around. They're going to go man coverage defensively here, and you can see because of the blitz, the safety's actually matched up all the way across here. He has to chase down St. Brown, but the free rusher comes off the edge in this play action, and Goff Goff actually avoids that sack, and he takes off for 10 yards on this play. I just think it looks kind of cool, so I thought I'd choke it. Hey, we don't get a lot of plays like these, man, so we got to show it off, right? Here's your slot corner blitz, as you see right there, boom, and obviously that's going to be an issue. Brock Wright kind of in the split zone look. He does not pick it up very early, and it gets around him, and then, of course, that should be pretty much a free sack, but he avoids it. And then Goff takes off and picks up 10 yards. So, you know, you like to see it. The interception that we end up throwing, there is a flag, which you're going to see Trinity Benson. He's injured right now. He did not participate today. He's going to get smacked off the line, and he actually hurt his knee. I think he buckled up his knee there when he got hit. And unfortunately, he's injured. It led to the flag, so this interception didn't count. It does intrigue me, what route did Trinity Benson actually have on this play? Because if Trinity Benson was trying to break towards the inside, that makes sense. Timing-wise, you set it up, maybe delay a little drag or something like that, because then you could try to pull whichever linebacker, which is this linebacker in this case, who is in the zone. You could try to pull him downhill and create more separation and more opening for DeAndre Swift, who's going to run up here, run up the seam, and try to get a touchdown. So what the Lions are going to do on this backside now, they're just basically running their guys off, and they're going to set up again kind of that second look. So Goff sets his eyes left, tries to hold this safety, sees man coverage. Again, this could have been a check at the line, like, look, if we get man, this is how we're going to attack it. So you're going to see that he's going to try to hold this safety after the snap. Here's the hold on the safety right here with his eyes, boom, going that way, holds the safety. I do want to point out a little nuance I noticed here. Watch Penei Sewell's set. You see how wide he's getting on this play? I think they want DeAndre Swift to look like he has to get very far outside to get this linebacker, who's naturally an inside leverage on a man coverage look, to get him to go outside of DeAndre Swift. That way he can really sell that he's rolling outside on maybe like a wheel, and then he can break back inside and get the inside leverage. That way Jared Goff can throw that kind of line drive. And again, not having Benson, well, the linebacker's just standing there and picks it off. Benson goes down. So that could have been, unfortunately, part of the cause of what the run actually turned into. But on this play, you're going to get the stop, and this will be the second read for Goff. He likes his matchup, though. He wants the linebacker there, and you can see the linebacker depth. I mean, he would have had it for the safety. He moved the safety, but it needs to be up higher. But then again, you can't throw it too high because you're going to allow the defender back into it. So it's kind of like a little bit of a touch pass. But unfortunately, with the touch pass, as you can see here, there was no linebacker. I don't know if that's what Benson was doing, but to me, it would just make sense that that's what he would be doing. And as you can see here, underneath, the linebacker is able to jump over there and get depth because Trinity Benson's on the ground. Benson's not running a route, so there's no threat on that side of the field anymore. And then, of course, he picks it off. But the flag, of course, brought it back. Leads you to the touchdown run, which is a misdirection by the Lions, and this fools them perfectly. I mean, this really does. Bears were getting upfield. They were being aggressive in this game for sure, so the Lions pulled out a misdirection run here, and you're going to see it works perfectly. Combined to blocks. The kind of linebackers are getting upfield. There's a misdirection. It's sealed up. Here comes the pulling offensive lineman, and you're just walking into the end zone. So that misdirection actually worked to perfection. So let's take a look at this final drive from the Lions. They went down the field. They scored a touchdown. It was beautiful. It was a game-winning touchdown drive. So let's take a look at how they accomplished this. So cover 3 look defensively here. This is one of the little tweaks that the Bears were doing a lot, is they were rushing a defensive back or a linebacker in this case, and then they would drop out a defensive tackle or a defensive end, and he would end up taking the underneath zone coverage. That can be issues for your offensive line, and in this case it was, and we had a couple of lone blocks. With that, we had some mistakes IDing there, and then of course we had some wide open rushers, as you can see on this play. This is not correct. It's not how this is supposed to look, but it does, and literally the guy is unblocked. That is a problem. Now, I do like how Sewell actually got his hands on the second guy. Like, literally, he could have saved a block there. See, looks is here. Now, if this is man coverage, St. Brown's probably the perfect read. The Lions do a lot of this. They go the out and up, and then you have this deep post over top. So if that's St. Brown and the cornerback runs out top with the out and up here from Khalif Raymond, it has to have enough time to develop because, of course, it's a long way from the cover, and you're isolating Swift one-on-one. So that's something that you could be accomplishing here on this play. But with the free rusher, and you also have the deep crosser, which would have been probably the place to look if he could go here and then come back to it. But again, the free rusher, he just tries to get it out there and throws it incomplete. But I like the job by Sewell on that play. Let's take a look. But yes, it was a clear blown block on this one. Blown assignment here offensively, as no one even touched the linebacker coming through. But Sewell ended up kind of getting his hands on both. This is, again, a lot of stuff that we saw with the LA Rams for sure. We saw a lot of this. But this is a 20-yard pickup that they have to Khalif Raymond. But you're going to see this is not the initial read for the Lions offensively. So you're going to get a man look, safety lined up here. You're going to get man across the board. Now what we're going to see here is the first read that Jared Goff looks to, as starts stacking receivers a lot. You're going to notice that. But the first read he looks to is his out route for St. Brown. That's his first look based on how his plan is, how his drop type is, and that's taken away. He's physical off the line, he takes that away. So what we've seen in the past is the backside, they're trying to create routes. So what the Lions do here is they pull a linebacker out with the running back, swing route, that just is to get that guy out of the play. And then you have the linebacker underneath, who's, of course, in zone coverage on this play, is not matched up on anybody. And that kind of ties in with the progression, because if Jared Goff looks left, the linebacker's going to flow that direction. But then it's this whip route. Boom, there you go by Khalif. And that's all timing. That's all timing for Jared Goff to go there. It's not there, and it's got to sync up, right? If you do a whip route and he just stares the whip route down, that's not good timing, right? That's just waiting. But on this play, there, okay, it's not there. All right, good. I'll come back to this guy. And as you can see, really nothing else is open. But it's your two top separators maybe, right? I mean, St. Brown and Khalif. So you put them both in the slot. We're trying to stack them up. We're trying to create ways to give them leverage, get them off the line, and, you know, not allow them to be jammed up. Well, in this play, St. Brown was jammed up. But you get Khalif in the slot with that speed on a whip route. Oof, big play, 20-yard pickup on his second progression. This was a quick completion of St. Brown. We had dragging over the middle here. Now, I think, again, there was set up where the Lions had some options, especially if this was zone coverage, because they're going to have Khalif Raymond basically run a dig and kind of sit down. And then on this backside, they're creating what could be a zone coverage hole, but you start off with basically the wheel route here from the running back, and then he's able to come back to St. Brown, who's running the drag across the middle, takes the linebacker out of the play. You're manned up on this situation, and it's just man across the board. But if this was zone, you're going to see Khalif sits down. That could be an option. And then, of course, the linebacker could be taken out of the play because St. Brown's drag underneath, as well as the wheel towards the outside. And then on this backside as well, you have a guy coming back through the middle with the switch there. So there could be zone looks out of this as well, but they end up getting man coverage defensively by St. Brown pre-snap on this play. It looks like it could be zone, but it turns into man coverage defensively. As you can see, the linebacker takes Swift, or the running back out of the backfield, so that could be a read for Jared Goff to see that. And he comes back to St. Brown, picks up a quick 8 yards, easy. Fortunately, we had this blown block. We had a draw here that we tried to set up. Evan Brown was beat on this play, and this led to a negative 5-yard run. So that put us in a bad spot, put us in a 3rd and 8, and this was the huge 44-yard pickup by Tom Kennedy. This was fantastic. On a 3rd and 8, a 44-yard pickup. Now, what I like about this one is, here we go. You see the left and right motion here by St. Brown on the play, but what we've seen is they're stacking receivers. They're trying to create separation. So when St. Brown motions, you can see how the cornerback presses up. Now you're indicating man coverage. He's also following St. Brown. It still could drop in his zone, but they're indicating man. And the Lions said, if we feel like we get man, you know, this is what we're going to try to do. So on this play, to create Tom Kennedy separation, take a look at what they do. So St. Brown's going to motion back over, and as he lines up to stack right here, now there's depth created because, of course, they can't line up on top of each other. So now there's space created for Tom Kennedy off the line. And then last second, they're going to have St. Brown kind of squeeze towards the side. So now Tom Kennedy doesn't have to worry about anybody off the line. He's clean, and he's got about 5 yards that he didn't have if he was just lined up without kind of the stack and show. So now the cornerback's working back downhill. You're giving him space off the line. They bring a cover one, single high. Here's the blitz. They pick up the rushers on this play, and then it's just about timing. Credit to Tom Kennedy for separating at the top of that route, and then it was on point. Probably the best ball Jared Goff threw all game. Seriously, this thing was money, and it was a 44-yard pickup on time. 3-step drop, back foot, let it go, boom. Also, I'm not sure if this was planned, but you notice the leverage shift. When they line up and they stack and then slide off, you can see how the leverage shifts for the coverage on Tom Kennedy. Receivers stack, they don't want to both be playing outside leverage because then there's initial space created. So when it looks like a stack, now one plays inside, one plays outside, and that could help Tom Kennedy actually create space at the top of this route because of how he can set up the defender. Money. Let's take a look at it from the other angle, though. Just a little nuance there to try to create some space off the line. Take a look at the throw from this angle because I do think this was his best throw. And, of course, you kind of get that indicator pre-snap. But I think it's that little subtle movement that they do to create space off the line for Tom Kennedy, but also indicate man. But let's take a look. Boom, there's back foot. You can see him rush backwards because they bring the extra rusher. He's trying to get depth. And as he plants that back foot, oof, that thing was pretty. I think that was probably his best ball of the day, and it was money, and they needed it. 44 yards, they needed it. Now let's talk about, again, now you're after this big chunk play, you bring it down to the 1. Here's the motion here with Khalif Raymond. The 2 motion here, okay? So now they're going into what probably is zone defensively. They bring Khalif Raymond over, so now it kind of sets the defense outside. Cornerback has to deal with it, but they don't actually gain numbers. They're just shifting. They're not actually gaining numbers. So then you have this fast motion by St. Brown, which is snapped very early, so you can see there's no shift here really from the defense. So now again, you're creating numbers, 1, 2, and then of course 3 with the running back, plus St. Brown. You've created numbers with 2 motions as they shift, and now you have St. Brown with a full head of steam, 3 blockers ahead of him, and he pick up 13 yards. Again, utilizing that motion. You don't always use it just to pass the ball. Sometimes you use it to run the ball. And then finally, you punch it in with a 1-yard Jamal Jamal Williams run. They're actually going to do like a little RPO here on this other side, but I don't think that was ever the plan, was like, hey, let's throw the RPO. I don't think that's where they were ever actually looking. Jonah Jackson to kind of create this lane as Taylor Decker, who I think throws a really good block here. Jonah clears the lane. They get upfield. He shoves it off. Now there's an open lane, but now it's important for the backside. Double team, and you kind of combo block here is important for this backside. They got to seal off. So as Jonah Jackson gets the defender upfield and he shoves him out of the way, now it's important for Decker to seal off the backside. That way you can get upfield right into that A gap. And as you're going to see on this play, Taylor Decker basically ends up blocking 2 players for the Lions on this left side of the offensive line. Let's take a look at him here. So boom, there's the block, and then he gets off and seals off the linebacker, and when he does that, he allows Brock Wright to also get connection, position himself to seal off this defensive end as well. So Decker starts it off here, boom, initially up the line. Let's take a boom. He allows Brock Wright to position himself in front, seal off. Also got a shout out to Khalif, and then he slides over, picks up the linebacker, and creates the hole for a 1-yard touchdown. Well done. They needed every yard that they got on this play, and then there's the pull, there's the misdirection, and it's sealed off really well by the receivers and the tight ends here. Evan Brown kicks out, and then it's just Jamal Williams making the rest happen. So boom, that's how the Lions finished it off, man. A lot of movement, a lot of pre-snap movement, a lot of cool concepts and, route designs to make it work. I love all the little wrinkles that have been added. So it's like you get this concept, but then the Lions add this. All the pre-snap adjustments and audibles based on indicators they get. Is it man? Is it zone? Where do we want to attack? Which side of the field? It's really cool, and I think they've done a great job. And we've seen these things all year of where, okay, progression leads here, but then we have a backside progression where if that's not there, we can go here. And everything is timed. You could see it with this drop type, right? You get a 1-step drop, okay, it's not there, then I can be patiently hitch, get back to my second guy, and now he's breaking the middle at this time. So it's all timing. There's not a lot of off schedule because they do a really good job of kind of syncing it all together. But in this game, their weapons were Khalif, they were St. Brown, they were Swift. They use Swift in a lot of different creative ways. They get man across the board, as you can see, and what they're going to do is they're just going to set a pick on the linebacker, right? You can see how Benson releases this. Maybe right there they got him for the flag, blocking a little bit, I guess, on the safety, as there's no communication to switch this thing off. There's the wheel route. He's got him, and it's a really good play design really from the Lions there. I think it was a little bit of a missed pass. They ended up flagging Trinity Benson on that play, but I like the play design. So those were their weapons in the game. Actually, in this case, it was Justin Jackson. I think Goff was trying to sell a little bit of a hands to the face. He didn't get it, but threw it out of bounds. There's the flag. That is the Lions offensive all 22 from this Bears game. I just want to take a look at a few of the big plays in this one, that last drive for sure. And we'll take a look at the Lions defense against the Bears as well, because I thought that was really intriguing. Just a lot of stuff going on with that. So with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.